The XDM Elite Compact 10mm. Let's check it out. For all you 10mm fans, Springfield Armory has just released the XDM Elite Compact. And guys, I love 10mm. Anytime a 10mm comes around, I want it because I just love the power and the ballistic capability. One thing about it is it's pretty stout. And with the Elite, they've made this a very ergonomic grip. A lot of times with 10mm, you know, the grip's a little thicker because the round is a little bit longer. And so you typically feel like you're grabbing a 2x4. Regardless, I'm still a big fan. But when it comes to the Elite and also the XDM 10mm full size, those are the most ergonomic 10mm out on the market, aside from maybe a 1911, which is super thin and yet has low round capacity. We really appreciate Springfield Armory for sending the XDM Compact for this review. This is a brand new pistol that's just been released. And guys, if you're into 10mm, I would definitely take a look at the XDM Compact. And guys, I had a little battle scar playing a little virtual reality with a headset on, not paying attention to where I was. The XD and the XDM series by Springfield has become extremely popular. These pistols, though, are actually made in Croatia, and originally by the SH-2000 products. They started importing these because they were part of the Croatian military. They imported these for a number of years, and there was a lot of popularity, and they just were excellent pistols. So Springfield Armory started importing these in 2002. And they started out with the XD. Now the XD is extreme duty. The XDM is extreme duty match, or match grade. And so the M stands for match grade barrel, also with interchangeable back straps, which the XD does not. And really, that's pretty much the major difference between the two. The XDM is really just kind of an upgrade to the XD. So first thing we're going to do is drop our magazine. It is an 11+1 magazine. They're stainless steel. Check the chamber, and it's empty. This is their compact size. There's a number of different features that they have on here that kind of separate it from some of their original XDMs. One big thing, of course, is that it is optics ready. And we have one of the Hex Wasp on here. This, to me, has really become one of my favorite red dot sights. A lot of it has to do with the construction, and it's well done. It's thick. It's not just thin aluminum. And with these angled cuts, it's less chance of breaking that lens. Now, it is a glass lens. It's multi-coated, and so it's got scratch resistance. It has a 3.5 MOA dot that is adjustable with settings, and it has an auto off feature, which it'll cut off after 16 hours. It has a 100,000 hour battery life, and that's 3-year runtime. It's the same footprint as your Vortex Venom or your Burris Fastfire. And so this, to me, is a suitable companion for this firearm. Also, we have a magwell, which is different. Now, this magwell can be removed. One of the things about the magwell, especially if you have larger hands, it's going to be a little difficult to get a good grip on here. It kind of bunches it up just a touch, but I found when firing it with the magwell, it actually helps mitigate the recoil because it gives you a little bit of leverage down here at the grip. But again, you can remove this magwell, and the mags will fit flush with this gun. Now, one thing, it will take any of your standard 15-round magazines for the 10mm. Also, it has ambidextrous controls. You can see the mag release on both sides, and we have slide releases on both sides. And the serrations have been widened, and really this makes it so easy to be able to pull back on this slide. Now with 10mm, you're getting more power, and sometimes on 10s, it's really difficult to pull that slide back. But with this one, I mean, it's fairly easy, just like your 9mm. It still incorporates your U-notch sight, and so when you put a plate on here and you take your sight off, you know, the sights are still there, and the sights are there when you have your red dot on. And then we have a fiber optic front, and it is dovetailed in. And of course, these can be switched for any kind of night sights or anything else you want to use. We have a 3-slot Picatinny rail, squared off trigger guard that is ample. But we also have the Meta trigger. Now this is a match enhanced trigger assembly. It's what Meta stands for. It's a really nice trigger pull. We'll kind of get into the details in a minute. The slide has a melanite finish, but it is a matte finish, which I like. And then a melanite barrel. The barrel is match grade, and it is hammer forged, and it's 3.8 inches. Now there is a loaded chamber indicator right here, and this little notch will pop up. There is a cocked striker indicator. This means that the striker's cocked. Doesn't necessarily mean that the gun's loaded or unloaded, but you can check here. You can actually feel it right here if you need to, if it's in the dark. And so one thing you'll do, we'll go ahead and make sure the gun's unloaded. When you pull the trigger, notice that little small dot, it just disappears. Now when it comes to the Meta trigger, you have a small little shoe right here. This is your safety. You notice you have a trigger stop right here at the back. And so as we pull it, it's free play right here, just a little bit of take up. And then we have some smooth take up, and then there's the brake. And guys, it is an excellent trigger. And then we have reset right there. So it's really quick reset. Now we're going to check our trigger weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells, and we have to depress the safety. 4 pounds, 0.2 ounces. 4 pounds, 0.2 ounces. That's pretty consistent. Now the 3-slot Picatinny rail is really short in section, so you're going to be limited to more compact lights. But let's just take this little Olight Baldor S, pop it on there, and it doesn't extend hardly at all, if any, past the barrel. So it makes it a really compact package. But Springfield Armory also offers their full-size 10mm. One of the things that I love about this pistol originally is the thinness of the grip. We'll kind of compare it with a Glock. One thing about the Glock has really been my go-to 10mm, but in the 10, it is really thick, and it's thick both front to back and side to side. And that's one of the things, especially when firing 10mm, having more better ergonomics just really helps. It helps me to get my hand in full control. I don't feel like I'm holding on to a larger 2x4. Now, I love my Glock 20 and my Glock 29, but it just is what it is. These grips actually are thinner, and they just feel more ergonomic. But we did a full review on the XDM 10. This is an excellent pistol, and they do have a long slide version. It's 4.5 inches, so it's considerably larger than the compact. But one of the big advantages of having a compact 10mm, especially if you go outdoors, hiking, camping, especially where there are large predators, the 10mm to me is a very effective self-defense round. And of course, if you run across those two-legged predators as well. But the more compact size means that it's just easier to carry. And if you want to carry the optic, you can, and again, you can put on that cover plate. And you'll notice on the original XDM 10, the serrations are closer together. They've just kind of expanded them out, just again, to give you a little more gripping surface. And you also will notice that it doesn't have an ambidextrous slide stop. And the grip has been enhanced. This is a little higher up, the ridges are, even though it's the same kind of design, here it's just a little more muted, so this gives you a little more gripping surface with the pistol. And on the grip safety, you have a small memory notch, which you don't have on the standard XDM. Why in the world do you have a grip safety? Of course, the 1911s have had grip safeties for a long time. One of the things I do like about a grip safety is when I'm placing the gun in my holster. And, if I keep my hand off of that grip, it gives me less chance for this gun to fire, especially when you're putting it back into appendix carry. And so that way you have that, just brings it in. Just be careful not to depress your grip safety. And then, it just gives you another safety feature, and you still don't have to have that external frame safety. And this holster actually is the QVO tactical holster. They actually sent this with the pistol, and we do some demonstration with it. but this really rides pretty well in an appendix carry for 10mm. And it does have the wing, has nice clips, just fits very well. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammunition. We're shooting the Range Dynamics. This is 180 grain, 1250 feet per second. We're also shooting some jacketed hollow points as well by Fiocchi. We're going to check this out. And also we appreciate Lula loaders. This is great stuff. Now guys, when you get down to the range, you know, it's a compact 10mm. And they can have a lot of recoil, especially when you get it up to those full house loads. But I found that with the XDM Compact, the way it's designed, it just shot very flat. I think part of it is this magazine well. It allows you to get a good solid grip, and yet it helps you to leverage the grip. So when the gun is firing, it doesn't rise up as much. You don't have as much muzzle flip. The short slide mass, again, also helps, and just the recoil system in general. I really love the hex optics. Their red dots are really great, whether it's the Wasp or the Dragonfly, and I've had some experience with both. They're very solidly built, and that's one thing that a lot of times they're not that really thin aluminum. They have a little bit of strength to them and some angles that if you do drop it, it's going to protect the optic. But if you want to shoot it without the optic, obviously this has really excellent sights. And those U-notch sights at the back and then the fiber optic at the front really show up well. And then if you want to go with more of a self-defense setup, night sights, of course, are going to be available. I mean, it is an XDM. It's been around for a long time. Now, the holster they sent, we wanted to do a little testing with it. I mean, it's an appendix style holster. One thing that I like about the Springfield Armory line, the XD and the XDM, is this grip safety when it comes to inserting a holster into appendix. Because, you know, it can get caught on clothing. When you're reinserting it, it could possibly pull the trigger. But with the grip safety, you know, it gives you that added safety when you're putting it into an appendix carry. And guys, we shot about 500 rounds, including the Hornady they also sent. And it just fed flawlessly. But the recoil mitigation on this and that more ergonomic grip kind of set this pistol apart from a lot of other 10mm. Now we're going to field strip the pistol for cleaning. Just drop the magazine, check the chamber. Go ahead and bring it back and put it in the slide lock position. Then take your lever and push it in the up position. Then when you release, it just comes right off. We have a really nice recoil spring, dual captive. It's all metal. This is really nice. That's probably a lot to do with the recoil on this firearm. And then we have our barrel, which again is cold hammer forged, and it is melanite coated. And then we have the slide. I mean, these are very well finished firearms. If you'll notice the longer slide rails here and here, typically with your striker fire pistols is a very short, in fact, less than half of this. So it gives you a little more contact surface to the rails. But it's pretty much a striker fire system, but they always do an excellent job. And that's all you need to do to field strip. Just return your barrel, get in your recoil spring and guide rod, back over the slide lock, hit your lever, and we're good to go. Now here we have the XD 2.0. This one is in 9mm. And you can see there's no back straps. One thing that a lot of people talked about was the grip zone. That was something they did, but this is a lot more traditional Springfield Armory XD, and you can see that they have really upgraded the Elite. I mean, there's a lot of differences. The slide serrations are definitely better. The squared off trigger guard here, and you know, just a little bit more features. It's a little bit more modern design, and honestly, the grip is a lot more aggressive than this laser texturing. This is good and is fine and adequate. But with the XD Elite, it just gives you a better gripping surface, and especially when you're shooting 10mm, that does make a big difference. Now, the most comparable gun to me with the XDM Elite 10 is your Glock Model 29. And this has been the traditional standard for a long time. As far as the slide, looks like the XDM may come out maybe 1/8 of an inch, really including this little beaver tail area back here. And when it comes to grip, it's going to be just a touch longer. Even though this is a 10-round magazine and this is an 11, I think even so, even with this lip, the XDM is just a touch longer than your Glock 29. But one of the big things that Springfield Armory has done is rounded off these edges. I mean, the thickness is pretty close. I think the Springfield's a little thinner. You're using metal magazines, so that allows you to thin that down because the polymer does add to this grip a little bit of a thickness. But with the rounded edges and that texturing, I mean, you're getting just a better, more ergonomic grip. With the Glock, I mean, I love this gun. This is one of my favorites, and I love shooting it. But honestly, the XDM is just more ergonomic. Now, does that mean I'm getting rid of my Glock 29? Heck no, I love this gun. I'll just take both. Now, the bore axis on the Glock is a little bit lower, as you can see, about 1/8 of an inch. And then with the sights, it rises up a little bit more. Gives you more of a grip toward the bore of the pistol. And so it usually makes it a little flatter shooting. So just wanted to note that the Glock is a little lower on the bore axis. Now, because the Hex Wasp is installed, weighing these together made it a little difficult, but they actually weigh a 1/2 ounce difference, according to the Springfield Armory website, at about 28.5 ounces without the optic, and the Glock 29 weighs 27.5 ounces. And then going into another direction, we have the Ronin 10mm 1911 by Springfield Armory. One of the things I love about the 1911 is it's such a thin grip. And then, of course, it's all steel. So that does help mitigate the recoil, but to be honest with you, because of the flex in the polymer here, it's really soft to shoot. But this just gives you an idea of the old school 1911, really high quality, or, you know, the more rounds that you get out of the XDM Elite. Now, the Ronin in 10mm carries 8+1 in the magazine. With the XDM, you actually have 11+1, and that gives you 3 extra rounds. Obviously, this is a brand new offering from Springfield Armory, and they did send this for this review for me to be part of the launch, which I really appreciate. They also sent one of the Surefire stilettos, and this is a really nice light from Surefire. It's rechargeable, great little light. In fact, we're going to be doing a full review on this light. But it's like 4.5 inches, it weighs 2.8 ounces. I mean, it is super light. And then it has multiple outputs, and it's 650 lumens, 250 down to 5 lumens. Now, there are actually 2 additional back straps. You have your cover plate, which is steel. A lot of times they're putting polymer cover plates, and so I really like this steel plate. We have 2 base pads. This takes this down to a 10-round magazine. Once you remove the magazine well, it just kind of sticks out just a little bit. So if you want to really go flush, you can add these 2 base plates. Now, pros and cons of having a compact 10mm. Again, going into the outdoors, whether you're hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, just going for a walk, there's a lot of different dangers that are out there. And so I think that the 10mm is going to give you a lot of confidence to handle pretty much anything. Even better than your 357 Magnum or 44 Magnum, because you have extra magazines, you have more rounds, and so it gives you just a little more confidence. Plus, these guns are just made impervious to the weather. The melanite finish is going to hold up, and of course the polymer. It's a small, compact size, so I like that rather than carrying a full-size 10mm. Honestly, guys, for years I carried my Model 20 before I bought my 29 when I was going on hikes and things, and it's a heavy gun. And so this is just going to give you a little less weight, a little less size to be able to carry something. As for self-defense, definitely it's capable of that as well on the street, and carrying this in an appendix holster or, you know, in a side holster. And of course, one thing though is typically there's a little more recoil with 10mm. And so shot placement's important. And so if you're recoil shy, then, you know, this might not be the gun for you. And that is the one thing about the 10mm. Plus, the 9mm is just a touch smaller, and so that gives you just, especially for those with a little bit smaller hands, it may be easier to control and to master. And then when it comes between the XDM and a 1911, I would much rather carry something like this out in the woods than to mess up my Ronin. Because this thing is a beauty. This one is a beast. Now, the manufacturer suggested retail price on the XDM Elite Compact 10 is $818, and of course market price is going to be less. As far as the Hex Wasp, these retail for $249. And to be honest with you, I think that's some of the better priced optics, especially for a premium optic out there. Guys, when this video is being released, these are brand new to the market. They should be coming to stores really soon if they're not already on the way. If you love 10mm and you want something that's very ergonomic, doesn't feel like a 2x4, I think that the Springfield XDM Elite Compact 10mm is something to take a look at. Again, these optics have really impressed me. And like we've said, you can adapt this down to taking off the mag well, you know, putting on a cover plate, changing out the sights. I mean, it is an XDM and there's going to be a lot of aftermarket support. But really, to me, the biggest thing is the flat shooting. For 10mm. Yes, it's 10mm. It's going to have some recoil, but this really mitigates a lot of that felt recoil, muzzle flip, and it makes it more enjoyable to take to the range. And again, we appreciate Springfield Armory for sending the XDM Elite Compact 10mm. This is a beast. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Not only is the grip really... Now for all you 10mm just recent. Going about 2,500 feet per second. 2,500 feet per second. That'd be some serious stuff. This has a number. It's that bird. I'm going to shoot that. It's pretty. Sounds pretty, but it's loud.